Thursday, where I heard John Gilmore speak, and he pointed out that this should be of a special interest, a special concern to people who are part of a religious community where separate seating is practiced. Because if Proposition 1 passes, there will not be separate seating. And Orthodox synagogues, for example, as we know them today, will cease to exist in New York State.
And how would that be? What do you mean by that? How would that affect it?
So the practice of Orthodox Judaism requires that during prayer, the men and ladies sit separately.
Right.
It can't be done a different way, although maybe in Reform synagogues they practice differently. But as far as Orthodoxy is concerned, there is no joint prayer with ladies and men sitting together. And
Can I ask you?
yes,
Does that mean that they would have the right to come into a private place and change the
Good question.
rules?
good question.
Yes.
So the way I understand it, it's a complex legal issue. I'm not a lawyer, but the way I understand it is that the way our congregations are structured today as tax-exempt entities will not be possible if you will not seat the men and ladies together. But if you want to have a private synagogue in your own house, no one can stop you from seating them separately. The same thing with schools. Right now, the vast majority of schools get funding from the government. If you want to have a girls' school, that will not be possible.
Even religious schools?
Right.
If you want to have a boys' school, that will not be possible.
They can circumvent the First Amendment of the Constitution.
So when it comes to, so I did speak actually today with an expert, a legal expert, and according to him, the separate seating issue in synagogues would go to the Supreme Court and it would be overturned because of the First Amendment. However, he had to concede that we do have a problem with the girls' schools and the boys' schools. Okay? So these are all serious legal issues.
So that's if they're taking funding from the government?
Right.
They all do.
Wait.
They all do. If
Okay,
you
so
find
it's
a
not
school which
taking
is not
funding.
taking funding, you can count them on one hand.
Yeah, I know the color. I get it. But as I'm saying, if they start taking funding from the government,
Right.
then it's a private entity.
Correct.
Okay? This is the gravity of the situation that we're in.
And that's just on that level. This issue goes beyond the religious schools and all that. It's other things too.
And even clubs, private
Right,
clubs that
exactly.
are men's
It's
clubs.
a whole, it's a Pandora's
Parental
box.
consent.
Yeah, parental consent, of course. I mean, I didn't mention parental consent because I figure everybody knows about that already. But there are some things that people didn't consider, and I want to speak about those things specifically. Of course, parental consent is a big issue. And of course, we need to make sure that parents don't get replaced by this Parent Replacement Act. God forbid.
Yeah, that's true. So let's say, for example, your kid is trying to transition, whatever, they will never tell you basically what's going on in that. You as a parent will have no right to know anything, basically,
Right.
in a nutshell. That's what it's, to paraphrase it.
I want to stress that it's very important to get the messaging right. If you approach someone who is able to put ads in papers, you have to know which issue will push his buttons. For some people, it'll be the girls' schools and the boys' schools. For some people, it'll be the parent replacement. You have to know who he is and what's important to him or her.
And how to appeal to that, their sensitivity.
Okay?
Because on the surface, it sounds great, equal rights and all of that. It just sounds great, and you're going to sit there, you're tired, you want to vote for the president or whoever you're voting for. You flip the ballot over to 6 questions like, oh, God, do I have to vote for this? Well, let me read the first couple of lines. Yeah, all right, yep. Okay, well, I don't know about that one, no. But yeah, for equal rights, sure, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to say, oh, my stars, what happened here? Well, you were uninformed. And now you created the monster. You let the monster into your house, like Salem's Lot. They scratched at the window. You let the vampire in. There it is.
Within the Orthodox Jewish community, I am, I guess you could say, spearheading efforts, because when I speak to people, they're all surprised about it. So I guess I'm the one who's spearheading efforts. If anybody wants to join me, give me a call. Howard has my number, and
We have a couple more of those cards in the back if you'd like to give them out at your...
Okay, so I actually
Do you have-
grabbed a bunch when I went on Thursday, so I
Okay,
have a
so you
couple
have-
hundred.
Okay,
at
good.
home. Thank you.
And so, thank you very much and appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you are?
Glenn O'Sara, I'm the president of Brooklyn. Thank you, thank you. And if we get a chance to sign in the back, so we have your email, so when we have our next meeting, you're more informed. Are you on Facebook? Okay, so at
I
least
mean,
through
sure.
the email,
Yeah,
you'll know. So, with that being said, we're still, I don't know what's going on with our guest speaker. To be honest with you, he's probably trapped in traffic.
Glenn,
And I understand, thank you, Big Ben.
but Glenn,
What's the second, what was
Before-
the second paragraph of the
okay, my
amendment?
thought wasn't finished about when Trump wins.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, all hell is gonna break loose. How is the city gonna handle this?
Well, how is the city gonna handle it? They're gonna let it burn.
Yeah, really?
Store owners, block up your windows, because when the let's say we lose, store owners, board up your window. They know we don't do that.
Exactly.
But they'll keep on saying January 6th at nauseum until the end of time. Really, January 6th, remember when the Capitol building burnt down that day? Oh, you don't? 'Cause what did we, remember when we smashed the statues in Statuary Hall? You know, the statues were a thing of the Summer of Love. Remember when we broke all this? Oh, I don't, because that never happened. God bless you. When maybe a window was broken, sure. We don't think that was the government in the crowd breaking the windows, said, come on in. And remember when the doors, and it's on YouTube everywhere, when they opened up the doors and let everyone in and everyone's walking between the velvet.
Very casual.
Yeah, walking between the velvet rope. Remember that? Remember the guy with the bullhorn, you know, with the ram's head? And they're like, oh, he's the leader of them, the crazy guy. And then video was released of 2 police officers walking with him in different chambers. Would you like to go here? Wow. And then they finally released him when like, yeah, okay. And there's still people, January 6 members that were still rotting in prison. Talk about political prisoners, elderly people, what have you, because they had the audacity to be let into the building and do whatever they did. They didn't do much. And someone might have put their foot on the desk of Nancy Pelosi, and maybe someone touched her computer, which was wrong, but ooh. Not unlike what the Black Lives Matter did and the other Antifa and friends, or Antifa or Antilli, right? What she did, what they did, they blew up cities, blew up, you know, basically burnt down police stations, killed people,
And statue.
okay? Ripped down statues in history and what have you. This is what they're about. The left is violent. So to your question, if we lose, the city will be fine.
Well, I'm saying, we're gonna win.
Right.
So, you know, they're gonna call in the National Guard on November 5th.
Well, we'll soon find out.
Fifth,
We'll
yeah,
see,
fifth.
we'll have to defer that to our Democratic leaders, and we'll see what they're gonna
Yeah,
do.
If I make comments,
Sure.
I would address everyone, don't have any fear.
Call the National Guard.
Don't have any fear because, you know, it's we're gonna prevail. And don't get nervous about it.
Yeah,
Just, you have to be strong.
absolutely.
So-
It's the only way you have to be strong against
So I'm
tyranny.
saying, you know, how do we prevent them from going down our city?
That's, you pray. That's the only thing you can really basically do. How could you prevent that? That's why you have to have leadership already in place that know what the hell they're doing, and not this woke equity bull crap. I know it's too late now because that's already what we have here in this lovely city of New York. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure moving forward, I know you guys are gonna vote the right way, but tell your friends and family and let it spread like wildfire, because that's all we could really do, right? One voice, like the money says, e plurimis unum, out of one, many, well, out of one, many, hopefully many votes. We got to get the voice out there. Look, at the end of the day, even if it's a losing battle, at least you go down swinging in the baseball terms, right? You go down swinging. You're not going to be the type of person that's like, oh, woe is me. And then, oh, it happened. Oh, what did I do?
Don't die
gotta
on
look
your knees,
at
die
your-
on your feet.
You got to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day when your time, when God says, it's your time. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, I did what I had to do. I did the best I could do on this earth to make sure I did effective, good change on this planet. So if you just sit there and do nothing, but if it's like the Alamo, we're all going to die anyway, but go down swinging, in a sense. Metaphorically, you do. go down swinging, meaning fight for what you believe in. You gotta fight for what you believe in at the end of the day, and we know we're in the right side of the ledger here. Because what is going on is just pure insanity, and insanity is ruling this city. Everywhere you go, we're paying for illegals to be what? Housed? Coming here legally. It's a slap in the face of people who did it the right way. They paid for immigration lawyers and all that to be citizens of this country. It's a slap in their face, and it's wrong. So let's see if we have any updates. No, we don't. But Hashi, would you like to say one thing while we're filming here?
Want to talk again?
Couple things. I just want to try to make a phone call.
Wake up.
But I don't have the power of editing right now of the camera.
Doesn't know he's gonna phone again.
I want to see if he's coming or not. Come, ladies and gentlemen, our Vice President, Hashi Tischler. I know before we were filming he spoke, but maybe you have something else you would like to say? Thank you.
I told a story before about a young couple getting married and how somebody helped them when it was a time of need. New York City is in a time of need. We're in a time that we need to change. And again, change is from within ourselves. We must go out there to help. And I do have another story, and I don't know if I ever told it before. And it's a story about a young man who was in the Holocaust. I'm not sure if I told it. I'm going to tell it to you again because this is the time that we need to see love for a fellow man. And he was laying in the concentration camp dead. He couldn't move. And he wanted his life to end. And he opened his eyes and he saw 3 beautiful angels. And he heard them say, "He's dead, leave him, leave him." And the other one said, "No, I want to save him. His eyes are open." And his name was David Kaplowitz. And he felt himself being dragged. And as they dragged him, they lifted him up and he passed out. A couple of days later, he woke up and he saw this beautiful lady telling him, "I'm taking care of you. Relax." She fed him, gave him some food, he passed back out again. About a week later, he says he woke up, he thinks, and he said, "I gotta get to a doctor." He says, "I'm taking care of you." And this went on for a couple of more days. One day he woke up, he looked around, there was nobody around. He got all nervous. And he figured out that he was in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp where they took him to die. He was left with all the bodies surrounded by him over there before the Americans came. And he wanted to die. He woke up and he saw that he was in a bunkhouse. And he couldn't still walk because he was like emancipated. Emaciated. I'm sorry, camera. And he rolled himself out of bed and he started to crawl through the concentration camp. Crawl through. Finally he gets to the main road. Just wanted to make it. He didn't care anymore. And up pulled a truck with American soldiers. They picked him up, they took him to the hospital, they made him better. He went back 6 months later looking for this angel who saved him. But he was angry. How did she leave me there all by myself? Where did she go? She was supposed to take it. He was angry. And he went back looking, asking questions, and he couldn't find. Finally, he just left. And he went to a different country. Part 2 of the story is the person who found him was Nechama Brown. Nechama was in a concentration camp, very smart girl, 16 years old. She knew her way around the concentration camps. She knew how to sneak out, bring back food, smuggle stuff in, deal with the capos, which were the Jewish cops, deal with the Nazis. And she had her mother and her sister with her. And each time she went in and out, and she did whatever she had to do to survive and keep her mother alive. Right before of April, before they were ready to wipe them all out, they put her and her mother on a death march. And she paid some guard with some cigarettes she was able to smuggle to march with them. And they marched 3 days straight, a death march. Finally, the Nazis gave them a place to rest. They found a big barn, shoved all of them in there, and they knew that tomorrow morning they were going to get killed. They all went to sleep. When they woke up in the morning, the guards were gone. Miracle. They didn't know what to do. Nechama got up with her mother and her sister and started to scavenge for food. And they saw a big concentration camp. And it was the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. They went in, and Nechama and her mother and her sister went in there, and they saw people. They saw this man laying there. And the Nechama says, I want to save him. And the mother says, no, leave him, he's dead. And Nechama says, no, I see his eyes open. And she and her mother dragged him into a bunker where the guard slept. And she went looking for food every day, fed him, took care of him, made him better, and watched him. And as he woke up a few times, she says, don't worry, I'm taking care of you. And one day Nechama went out to start looking for food, and she went into the town, and she came back late. And when she came back, David was gone. She was angry. How could David leave? It wasn't right. How does he leave here without even waiting for me? She packed up her belongings with her mother, and they left. And she found her way to Canada. And back then, the Holocaust survivors were stars to a lot of the Jews. And in Canada, there wasn't a big Jewish community. It was only like a block wide. So everybody knew about Nechama and her story of survival. And as they went around all over the place, people just came and listened to Nechama, and she became more successful and more popular in Toronto. One day she gets a knock on the door, and she opened the door. Standing in front of her was David Kaplowitz with a bunch of flowers. He says, I heard you were here. I didn't know how to come to see you. And he says, please, please, let me come see you. Let's sit down and talk. I met David maybe about 20 years ago, on his 57th wedding anniversary to Nechama. 4 children, 3 boys and a girl, 11 grandchildren. God runs this world. Whether you want to get married or not, whether you're going to survive or not, of course we have to fight and take care of one another. We never give up on one another. And I love this great country because my father was a survivor in the camp with the numbers. My mother was there escaping. And somehow they fell in love, and they had me, and I've been arrested 5 times. But
That's all?
But I want you, that's it. Linda asked me not to do it again. She's not bailing me out. But I want you to know, we have to take care of one another. And that's what this country is about. That's what this generation's about. That's what we've taught our children, family, country. And most importantly, we have to take care of our fellow soldiers. And we always have to love our veterans. And sometimes we forget that. We think big government is the way to go. It's not the way to go. Government has to be fought, and I've been fighting them for 40 years. Yes, I'm now going into government because there's no other way to beat them but from the inside. I'm one of 8 million citizens of this great city. One of 6 million maybe with my special talents, but if I get into the city council, I'm one of 51. And many people say to me, what can one person of 51 do? The odds are better. The odds are that I'm on your side, and you just watch. You know, there's a cable TV, I don't know if a lot of you have cable, but that channel, one of them is the City Council channel. And I keep telling everybody to get it. It's so boring, you want to cut your wrists. You know, you watch that show, you see them pick their nose, scratch their behind, you want to throw
All
up.
boring with C-SPAN.
Please get the channel. When I'm on there, it's going to be the #1 show. You're going to have to mute the sound because you're not going to like some of those words.
Oh, we like them. At least
Bye, babies.
All right, so I have
An update?
an update.
He's not coming?
You got it, you won the lottery.
Thank you.
He cannot make it because he is stuck in that stupid half marathon traffic.
November?
Wow.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So hopefully when he gets elected, he'll be coming back. But unfortunately, sorry for that, but who foreseen the half marathon blocking traffic? So that's what happened. He couldn't make it. He was stuck on the island because that's where he's at in Staten Island. and he was coming into Brooklyn to come to our meeting, and